Hey there, YouTubers. Today, I'm going to take a look at a little bit of history, a little bit of a rant, and a little bit of a MacGyver twist. So thanks for tuning in to Dadgyver. Today I'm going to talk about Ryobi and the history of Ryobi vacuums and where we are today. And in particular, I'd like to talk about whenever I was a kid growing up. I remember whenever Ryobi hit the shelves at Home Depot, and one thing that was awesome about their kit and was different than the other tools like DeWalt and Milwaukee was that they had a vacuum cleaner, a hand vac in their kit. And it looked a little something like this. Old blue guy. And it was cool, man. I thought this was the coolest thing whenever I was a kid, to have a battery operated hand vac. Oh, when I grew up, of course, I got a few of them. And it seems like the model really didn't change. So here's one that I got with a kid. And problems that I experienced with those vacuums is just that the canister is too small and it really uses the battery quickly. And speaking of the batteries with Ryobi, let's talk about how the batteries have kind of evolved over the years. They used to have the nickel cadmium 18 volt rather, 1 plus batteries that look like this here. And before that, they actually had 12 volt, but this was the 1 plus line starter. And problem with that battery was his nickel cadmium, and basically they would, well, they had several problems. They didn't run long, and they were very vulnerable to conditions, weather conditions, and not charging, that kind of thing. Later on, Ryobi decided to go ahead and shrink up the battery with the lithium, and I guess they were like, well, the batteries are really making the tools bulky and they don't last very long, so we got this little battery now, and it'll make the tool last a little longer and be lighter, and that's great. But whenever it comes to vacuums, well, that little battery still didn't last very long. And that's okay, because as time went by, they upgraded to this guy, which didn't last very long. And then they went to a 4 amp hour. And that lasts a little longer, but can you really get your whole car done with that? Not really, especially if it's been a while since you vacuumed the car. They also have the HP line of 4 amp hour battery, and they also have bigger batteries such as the 6 amp hour and the 9 amp hour batteries, and those will get you to go longer, but of course those batteries have to be charged longer and they're way more expensive. So let's talk about something else. It seems about the time between they transition between this battery, and that would be the nickel cadmium, and the lithium, they started to introduce a hybrid model that was electric on a lot of their products. This means that basically you could use either outlet electric, AC electric from your home or whatever outlet you can get to, or choose to use a battery. Now, this to me was a great concept. The batteries didn't last very long, so you could use them whenever it was a short job and you needed to be completely portable or mobile. And then whenever you needed the long-lasting power, you could switch over to the electricity. Now, it seems to me that most of the vacuuming products could really use that type of an option, the hybrid option, mainly because they seem to go through the batteries really quick, almost as quick as a blower or comparable to the blower models that you see, and they really go through the batteries. Now, Ryobi has released some vacuum cleaners, and what you find is that they're really low suction power, and the batteries, the longest that you'll see them last is about 15 minutes per battery. So if you're wanting to vacuum out a car and it's heavily soiled, and it's going to take you, half hour to an hour, you're going to go through 2 to 4 batteries. And in that situation, you really could use an electric outlet to get the job done. And it seems like the market strategy for Ryobi is gone to, let's just make our batteries cheaper, a little bit cheaper, and put them on sale so that people have just so many batteries that they'll just keep flipping through them, and that way we don't have to put out the hybrid models anymore. Well, that's my rant. I really wish Ryobi would put out a hybrid model vacuum cleaner. I actually detail cars, and there's certain scenarios where a customer will allow me to use their electric, and there's certain scenarios where there's no outlet. If I'm going to be detailing a car in the middle of a parking lot or at somebody's job place where I can't get to an outlet, then I need that battery power. And I don't want to go through a ton of batteries, and I don't want to carry a bunch of heavy batteries around in my vehicle. So it would be really nice to just carry a couple batteries and one extension cord. But it seems like Ryobi doesn't want to do this. Now, some of the other manufacturers are doing this, such as Greenworks and DeWalt. They do have hybrid model vacuum cleaners. But, I've been with Ryobi for a long time, as you can see with the old blue there. And I don't want to switch. I just want my brand to do what I'm asking. So, what are we going to do? Well, you know what this channel is all about. So let's get to it. You may have noticed in the past that you could buy a hybrid blower. This blower is 200 CFM, and it runs off of the battery. You can switch this up and put in an electrical cord, and it runs off of electricity. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that blower and turn it into a vacuum, a hybrid vacuum. I'm using this here canister that I've shown in a previous video. It's off an old vacuum cleaner. It has a nice release here. In the top, there's a filtration system that's replaceable. And of course the canister is nice and large. Can hold a lot of material. And so what I need to do here is interface this with the bottom of this. And what I'm going to do is build a gasket to go in between here, since there's a little bit of a gap. So I've got this foam from an old mattress cover, and I think that this piece will fit perfectly. And so I'm just going to trim off the edges, and I got the wife's Ryobi cutting tool. Don't tell her I got it. let's just trim this off. All right. Okay, that should do it for that. Let's just pick up this scraps. Alright, we're going to need to cut a hole in the middle here. This may have been easier with another tool. Let's go ahead and cut out that circle. There we go. And that's going to line up right over the top of that hole there. And this is going to provide a gasket for that space. Alright, I'm going to just duct tape this together. Get that ready. Okay, it slides in pretty good right there. Duct tape. Seal it. So let's grab a battery and see how we did. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. Full power. Now this is just connected. There was a hole here in the canister, and I basically just took a piece of cardboard and taped it, and then I glued this hose with some hot glue to the cardboard piece as a gasket. Well, let's just see what this does. As you can see, I got a mess here on the floor to clean up. So yeah, it works pretty good. Now it doesn't have the best suction power, and that's kind of to be expected. I mean, look what we just put together in 5 minutes. Now that works as a handheld. Could just set this puppy in. Dadgyver hybrid vacuum cleaner from Ryobi.